Hey everyone, my name is Sarah Nagel. I graduated from Ferris in 2018 with my bachelor's in hospitality management with a concentration in food and beverage. Today I'm going to show you how to make some tea cookies. So during quarantine, I started, obviously watching the Great British Baking Show. I wanted to make something cool and interesting and play around with my cookies. So I looked into our tea cabinet, and my mom, of course, has a bunch of different types of tea bags. And I was like, well, what if I just put the tea into the cookie? Because typically the tea leaves in the tea bags are super fine, so it's not like you're going to be eating a leaf. And there's all sorts of cool flavors. Today, I want to make just a basic chai tea. So instead of, hunting around for all those different spices that would go into a chai tea cookie, we're just gonna use tea bags. And then I've got this super basic recipe, super easy. I found a basic cookie recipe online, and then I changed it to have a little less sugar, and then obviously the tea bags in there. Plus I lessened the flour in it because I wanted it to be a softer cookie. And then, yeah. So we're gonna get going, make some cookies. I've already got my butter in here. So after you get your butter moving around a little bit, I like to add the sugar. So as you can see, I'm using the paddle attachment, not the bread attachment, not the whisk. The paddle is the best one for making cookies. So get your butter, remember to scrape down your bowl often, because that helps from creating, leftover ingredients on the bottom, and then they don't get mixed into your cookies. So, sugar. Sugar, we're gonna add 1.5 cups. So you see that is nice and flat. You don't really see like any mounding of the sugar. That's how you want to measure correctly, and I'll also show you how to measure flour correctly, because a lot of people don't know how to do that. So 1.5 cups here, going into the sugar. And then we're gonna mix this until it's light and fluffy. Make sure to lock it and get that going. So as you can see in there, it's getting pretty fluffy. So right about now, I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna bring it up and I'm gonna scrape again. And then we're gonna add 1 egg and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla to the wet ingredients. This part is really important because 1, you don't want it to go poof and go everywhere. 2, you don't want to overmix your cookie dough. That is something that I see on like so many of the cooking shows of like amateur bakers like nailed it. It's so fun. But they mix their cookie dough for so long, and then it turns out rubbery, and that's just not fun, So you put it in there, you mix it until it's just incorporated, and then you're fine. Like if you see any flour in there, you just like mix it up real quick. But that's all it takes. It doesn't have to be mixed until it's dead. You just mix it until it's mixed. So we're gonna go ahead, add that in there, throw this in the soapy water. So that's mixing. I still see flour. We're working on it. Hi, Chatter. All right, so you can hear the difference in the mixer when it starts to actually like come together as a dough. And we're done. So I'm gonna show you this. See how it's kind of crumbly? Scoop some out. Form it into a ball. Roll her up. And it depends on the size of the cookies that you want, but that's about 1 inch ball. And then we're gonna place them far enough apart that they can spread. So you're gonna have to predict the future a little bit, but I think since all you went to Ferris, you're super good at that. If I was at my apartment, I would have a cookie scoop and they would be perfect little balls. But before everything really hit, I decided this may be the best time to spend with loved ones. I really love sharing things that I cook and that I bake. So I do have an Instagram, Sarah's Small Specialties, and I'll post things that, cakes that I'll bake for people, food that I make at my job as I'm a sous chef in corporate dining, and you know, just fun food things. Things that I'll bake at home, like I got into making bagels lately, before, you know, we ran out of yeast. And it's just a lot of fun to share these things with everybody, because that's what really got me into food, was the fact that food brings people together. I think it's so great, especially with cultures, cuisines. Everybody has something different, everybody came from a different background, and I think that that's one thing that Ferris does a really good job of, is they get, you know, the international students, and they get people from everywhere to come to Ferris. And I think it's really cool because people that were sheltered like me grew up in a small town, kind of like Big Rapids, but they come together and you get to learn about different people, different backgrounds, different food, and everybody goes to, you know, the cafe together, and I think that's really awesome. You gotta miss it, right? When I got into the real world, my first thing was like, where can I go sign up for an RSO? But guess what? There aren't RSOs in the real world. I mean, there kind of are, but you know. One of my favorite RSOs was the Student Alumni Gold Club. Got to hang out with Brutus all the time, work in the president's box. Ooh, these are getting pretty big. That's okay. Sometimes I like to make my cookies small, so then when I have like 5 of them, I don't feel as bad. But you know what? You do you. Alright, so I have 2 baking sheets full of cookies ready to go in the oven. Cooking times vary, obviously, and so I like to put them in, check them at like 10-11 minutes, and then, you know, turn them if need be. But typically they'll take 14 to 18 minutes depending on how you want your cookies to be texture-wise. So I'm going to pop them in the oven, and then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. So this is what the finished chai tea cookie looks like. See how it's kind of cracked on top? It gets that way in the oven, and that's how you know when they're done. Super crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside. Delish. Hope you like them.